wanna say everything that they want. Give the people back the microphone so they tell it as it is. Express what you wanna say right now.
What is up, Facebook gang, YouTube gang, everybody? What's up? I have a fun show tonight. I strayed away from this topic, but I feel like coming back to it, we're going to talk about Black culture. We always talk about politics, but I think it's time to get into Black culture. I think some things we need to be held accountable on, but this was going to be interesting because we have a liberal approach to it as well. But you all know I got my big bro here with me.
Yeah.
Cash.
You already know. Everybody right now, if you have not already, please share this video out because it's going to be a very, very interesting show with a lot of different perspectives to a common, I say it's a real problem, you know what I'm saying? And to have everybody's perspective on it, it is important. And this show also is going to show unity because we do have a liberal voice on here who I already love. This brother is amazing, and I cannot wait for you guys to meet him. He's amazing. He's very intelligent, and he knows policy, and he can actually articulate why he feels the way that he feels. So it's going to be a very great show. So if you could please subscribe to this on YouTube. Also, share this out on your Facebook or wherever you're watching from. Share this video out. Soonie, thank you so much for having me, sis. I love you.
Thank you. We got D'Antonio. He's back. I did a show with him before. Everybody already knows he's dope.
What it is,
we got Russo here.
Can't do a show about Black culture without me.
And we have the guest of the hour, Mr. Leland. Thank you for being here.
Give me 1 second. I'm reading something. I got this newspaper. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, he did us.
He's starting out early.
Fire, son. Let's go.
You come up the gate swinging. I see you.
I got props for days.
Was that the National Enquirer?
Ooh, nice one.
The New York Times. Film New York Times.
Come out the gate swinging, man. Okay.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on, guys. It looks like
I'm glad you made it.
All right, I'm gonna ask everybody a question, and I want the guests to answer this first. Okay, when I say Black culture, what comes to mind? Give me 4 things that come to mind. Black culture.
Black culture. First off, the Wayans brothers. Second off, the Temptations, Motown. Third, the story of our people, where we came from, the struggle, the hustle, the constant years of being misunderstood. And number 4, macaroni and cheese and bread.
When I think of Black culture, I think hijacked. I think misguided. Not ours. Corrupted.
Real positive.
Tony,
when I hear Black culture in 2020, what I think about is a victimhood mentality, lack of self-accountability, sexual irresponsibility, including myself, and the best entertainment in the world with some of the physically strongest people that you ever seen in your life.
Damn right.
Damn it.
Do you want me to go, Russo, or do you want to go?
I think Russo's got stolen, got hijacked like a culture.
Well, it did. But I have to be very careful because for a white guy to talk about anything having to do with what Black means right now, this is like literally
good. You get to say it. You get to say something and actually be truthful because one of your best friends is Black.
Is it? Hey, well,
yeah.
Since
a true nigga. I'm not one of the nigga. I'm a real nigga, hood nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we'll get all these microaggressions out of the way with you articulate folks. All right, so here's the deal. Here's what I got. Horrible history, tragic history, victim mentality, flavor.
What'd you say? No, I'm playing.
Hey.
Flavor and enormous potential.
Yes, facts.
I like that.
With that enormous potential, I would also add wasted talent because it's all in the same at this
Our enormous potential is huge. Massive.
Thank you, Russo. That was awesome. I had 1 million, but I'm going to condense mine down to 4.
Thank you, Stacy.
I had good and bad. All right. When I hear, Black culture, I think of cookouts. Second one was music. Now I'm going to give 2 of my bad. Gang culture, no identity. We can get into why we chose ours. But I asked that question because I've been doing my research on what people think Black culture is. What does it represent? What is it? And I came across an article that CNN did on Michael B. Jordan. He's an awesome actor. He's in Creed. He played in Fruitvale Station, and he was on The Wire. So before he became huge, he was on the show called The Wire. He was a dope actor. And he pretty much narrowed it down to 5 different things. And one thing that stood out to me was he kept saying negative things about the Black culture. One thing he did say is Black culture is not proprietary to Black people. So that made me think no identity, because you can't dictate what's owned, and it's culture. Culture is everything. There can be 4 different people in a room and you might have one thing in your culture that's the same. So what do you mean we don't own it? And then I dug deeper and he went into the music. So it's like a sting that's left over from something that happened years ago that we're still holding on to.
Yeah.
Which gives me the indication, again, there's no identity there. Because you're still living in what happened 401 years ago. We're here. We're in the present. How can we fix these issues here?
Got to understand the past too, though. Got to understand
you
why.
do, 100%. 100%. And I believe that we should learn it, but I don't think that we should live it and take on that tragedy as our own.
I agree.
Can I add something real quick?
Sure.
So I'm mixed, right? My dad's Black, Arkansas. He was born in 1925. I'm number 19 in my family. That's my daddy. My daddy got busy. I got a sister that's 71. My grandma was a slave. My grandfather was a slave. They ended up having farms. My father fought in World War II. So I believe the Black culture is entwined with American culture. And I'm just going to give you a quick breakdown. When you want to think about Black culture and this whole victim mentality, it's only a victim mentality because we aren't taught our history in our schools. I had the privilege of being a Detroit public school taught person. And when I went to my school, I looked like this going to school with y'all. You know what I'm saying? My daddy Black. My daddy said you got 1 drop of Black blood in you, you're Black. So
all day
we went in knowing I'm Black. My school had Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, painted on, in murals, Rosa Parks. But no, it's not victim. You got to look at what these people did. They stood up for something. You got to remember their past and their stories. That's the point of history. And here's a quick history for you. The 54th Massachusetts Regiment, first Black regiment to sign up for war in the Civil War. They was the first Black
Black platoon. Yeah,
first Black platoon. They died trying to grab a Confederate hill that was never taken down. But when the word got back to the people about their bravery and their sacrifices, 180,000 Black males signed up to become part of the army and won. So Black people have saved this country. And to tie it in my personal belief, I feel like Black people saved the country in this election as well. My personal belief.
In no way am I saying I don't want to know my history or I don't want to know what they did. What I'm saying is this is how I feel. I'm paying homage to them by not stopping. I'm paying homage to them by not saying, oh, poor me. Man, we were slaves back then. Man, all this bad stuff happened. Or just negative parts of the Black community. I'm paying them homage by highlighting you built Black Wall Street. I don't care who burned it down. You built it, which means that we are more than capable of building it again. But that victimhood mentality, oh, poor me. Go ahead.
Okay. Just to add, when you look back at our history or our ancestors' history, all right, you could see things like he just how this brother Leland just said, man, we fought like a whole shitload of people fought, and when they enlisted, we won, like he said. So to say that we saved the country, that's a real fact. But one thing that we're missing out is we were unified. We were unified with each other and even with the people who we thought were against us. You know what I'm saying? We unified to save our country together as one. All right, not as black and white, but as Americans fighting for our freedom. Okay, now when you look at back then, how the culture was completely different. Where you would see a black man, he'd be wearing a suit. You know what I'm saying? And he'd be the head in his household. He'd be taking care of his children, working his ass off, literally taking all kinds of shit to make sure that the family was good. Morals were intact. And even before that time, when we were slaves, okay, well, our ancestors, we were never slaves, but our ancestors, when they were slaves, we had brothers that would go together, hand in hand, scared as hell, and die together, encouraging each other like, brother, it's okay, yo, stand strong. You could see the pictures of us being marched together. We were together. We would die for one another. Our brothers was hanged for a crime that they didn't commit to cover for their son or their brother or their cousin or their whatever it was. They died for them together. But you look at the culture from then until now, we will kill each other over things that person didn't do, or because of the way a brother wearing his hat, or because of the dollar that they got in their pocket. Our music, when we first started hip hop was educational. We were teaching the young. We were creating them soldiers that enlisted. We was creating them. We were sharpening their mind. They hijacked that. They hijacked the culture of our music that we created and turned it into something that we see today. There's just a mutation that is degrading to our brother and to our sister. It teaches us to hate on one another, to want what the other one got, and if you can't get it, then you take it. It teaches women to be promiscuous and to be hoes and be glad to be hoes. You know what I'm saying? To sell themselves. Like, look, I'll do this for you as long as you give me some money. You know what I'm saying? I'll give you my body if you could pay my bill. Instead of it being, I'm gonna give you my body because you're the guy, you're the man that God intended me to be with. You feel me? And shit, I'm guilty of it too myself. You see how many kids I got? 4 different women. You feel me? I fell victim to the culture vultures too. They hijacked it and turned me into something. And when you say identity crisis, I believe that black people in this country, we have an identity crisis because we don't know who we were. We're told that we're Negro or African American. Africa's a continent. There's a lot of places over there in Africa. We don't even know the language that we spoke. You know what I'm saying? We don't know the God that we served. We don't know anything except for what we have today, what we're taught in schools and what they teach you in schools. They don't teach you that, yo, y'all built the pyramids. You guys had already conquered the sea. You were traveling all over the fucking globe at one point in time. You guys were the first pirates. You guys was this, you was that. You created electricity. You created all these different things a time before America ever was. No, they tell you, you were the descendants of these people that we brought off of ships. We dominated you. You guys' spirit was broken. We gave you a language. We gave you a religion. We gave you everything that you know. They don't tell you who you were. And that's a real problem of when you look back in the condition that we're in today and you look back, you can understand why. If you was to tell somebody, and this is the story that I'm about to tell you real quick and I'm done, is when I was in 2nd grade, we were learning about Black history. It was Black History Month. We were learning about slavery. Okay. And then you hear about Martin Luther King. You know, that's the main thing they taught you is about Martin Luther King. So you find out in 2nd grade, I'm finding out that, okay, I come from slaves. I come from a people that was beaten and broken. And these people that were over me, they're sitting next to me, and the kid looked back at me and he goes, look at you guys, this is what you come from. You come from these people. You guys are slaves. We're better. I'm better than you. I'm your master, is what this kid told me. A white kid told me that he was my master. All right. And then you learn about Martin Luther King, a courageous man that took a stand and fought for the rights of Black people to be treated equal in this country. And the end result was he was murdered for it. So I'm taught that I come from slaves, and if I try to be anything other than that I can be killed. That's the 2 things I learned that day. And then I learned that this kid thought he was better than me because he seen white people in control of these Black people. So he felt like he should be in control of me. And it did something to me in 2nd grade. It changed me up a little bit. And that's the reason when you look at the reason we are in the position that we're in today, it's not anybody's fault that's here alive today. It's not the fault of the teacher that was teaching about Black history. It's not the fault of the kid that was sitting next to me. It's not the fault of any white person that's alive on this planet today. It's the fault of the curriculum that is chosen to be taught in school. It's the fault of the crime bills that was put out. It's the fault of the way that we are presented in culture, in everybody else's culture, the way that we're presented. That's the fault. So it's our responsibility, and as parents now, you know, it's the responsibility of the parents to do the studies, to know the things that we have all learned today or throughout our lives, to teach that to our children and say, look, we were much more than this and we were that, but here we are today. We're Americans, we're together, and none of these people are responsible for it. You're responsible for your actions moving forward, because this man named Martin Luther King fought and died. This man named Malcolm X fought and died. Harriet Tubman, she did something correct. Rosa Parks, Thurgood Marshall, all these different people. Teach them about all these people, and then let them know, look, we have a chance to move forward. You can be so much more if you choose to be. But right now, there's still an attack on you. There's an attack on you because they want you to believe that you can be nothing. They want you to be a victim. They want you to fit into this box and stay inside of it. Don't ever come out of it.
Cash.
Responsibility as a culture.
You know what I think the problem is with that is we're now facing the second generation of that education. So
Yes.
You said it's the parents' fault, or it's the parent, not the parents' fault, parents' responsibility to teach that. The group of parents that are now in that 30 to 50-year-old gap were the parents that they stopped teaching the positives to. They taught about Martin Luther King, but they taught more about the murder of Martin Luther King.
Mm-hmm.
They taught more of the Thomas Edison instead of the fact that it was actually a slave that created electricity. They taught all about the negatives. So now the parents that are raising their kids, it's now double dangerous, double negative. Yeah. So now this is where I actually say it's a responsibility of government stepping in. This is a responsibility what Trump was talking about, of teaching some positive American history. So there's two different schools of thought. There's the 1619 Project people, which is it's still interesting, mm-hmm. But the same people are the people that leave out all of the other aspects of viewpoint. So I like the idea of, if you're going to teach that, you also let them see the movie Uncle Tom.
Exactly. They teach his story.
What's that? Right. It's his story. It's people have created these stories. There is positives and there's negatives. There's both. And right now, for the last 30, 40 years of education, all that's been taught is how terrible Black people were treated. And now the mindset, and it was not to say they were treated good. That'd be terrible to say. But I'm saying they've given that mentality of only negative information, no positive reinforcement, and it almost over time, and it's actually another way of controlling. It's another mind control. This is all the bad, and if there is no positive, how can they think that Black people have a chance? You have to break a cycle, and that's incredibly difficult.
You're exactly right. Just to touch real quick, Leland, before I'm gonna give it right over to you, brother. But I got to say this real quick. It's, they teach us about George Washington, right? They don't teach you about the Black guys before George Washington that was running things. Supposedly, before there was actual president, did you know there was a Black president before George mm-hmm. Washington? All right. Mm-hmm. And then here's the biggest thing. The big thing for me, especially, when I practice Freemasonry. All right. You learn about George Washington and you're taught all about George Washington, but you're not taught about the man that taught George Washington. The only man that's on any kind of United States currency. Do you know his name? How many people know his name? His name is Prince Hall. Prince Hall was the man that taught George Washington what he knew.
And they did like the Prince Hall lodges.
The Prince Hall Freemasonry, yes. Prince Hall was the first Freemason in America to start a lodge, but they give that credit to George Washington.
Gotcha.
You get what I'm saying? It's all kinds of stuff that they don't teach. Well, just like they don't teach people about the Black slave owners in America.
I'm going to let you talk in a minute, D'Antonio. But
go ahead, Milan. Go ahead. My bad.
Real quick, at the same point in time, Black people can only vote in this country for 50 years.
Yep.
White people have 400 years.
Yep.
And just like if you're watching a sprint and you see a white guy in the lead and a Black guy running after him, we're going to catch up. it's okay. We're gonna get there. And I think the biggest thing is education. Our grandparents and great grandparents didn't have access to this information. The
Exactly.
internet now has gave information to all little young black kids across this country, and that's such a powerful tool. And I think education is what's important, because if you are being taught one thing in school and you have the ability to go research it yourself and realize, oh, that's incorrect, and I know the real truth now, then that's powerful for you. So, and just a real quick story, I always played the white guy in the Rosa Parks plays in my school. I always was the bus driver that said, "You can't sit here, ma'am." So race for me was definitely present in an all black school. I always played Santa Claus and the driver from the Rosa Parks bus. So just want to put
Especially
that.
being mixed. It's hard
Okay.
going up mixed, man. You ain't black enough for the black kids, and you ain't white enough for the white kids. I
Find
ended up
your
hanging with the black.
lane. You find your lane.
Here's my counter to all of that, because that's history. All right. That's not what we're living now. I could have went without, like, I could have done without the constant hammering of what they didn't do for black people. Right? So if I know, look, that didn't benefit me. So maybe I'm going to teach my children about slaves. I'm going to teach them, look, this was bad. This was cheap labor. This was terrible. This is our ancestors. This is what we come from. But we are still American. So teaching that, like, honestly, just sitting here listening is depressing. It does not feel like life. It feels like, damn, this is all the shit I come from. Damn, I don't like, for me, I am from America. I know my language because my American language is right here. This is the land I was born on. This is where my mother was born, my grandfather, my great-great-grandfather. Hell, my great-great-great-grandfather was a slave owner. So we are a mixture of a bunch of different stuff. The only thing different about us is culture.
Yeah, exactly right. You're exactly right. Did you know they got the law is if you were here before, or if you were here during the year of 1824 and before, your family, if they were here in 1824 or before 1824, you are considered indigenous to the land that you live in. Did y'all know that?
Just learned it right now to you, brother.
We are indigenous to this land. This is our land now.
I've heard something like that before, but it wasn't specific.
Thank you. Like, I feel like we need to be teaching American history solely in our schools.
Which is why I hate Black History Month. Because Black history is American.
There's no need for it. A Black history is American history. Why are you separating yourself?
No, it ain't that we separate ourselves. It's what they do. It's a that right there to me is degrading that they want to, like when I was in DC and they gave us a black,
I'm sorry, Tony, I'm gonna let you go.
African American historical museum. Like, I hate that. I don't like that. It's America. Why can't I just be an American history museum? Why can't I be next to George Washington? Why can't
Thank you. Why do I got to be in a whole other setting?
No. I mean, I get.
Go ahead, Antonio. We didn't let him talk. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the thing is, so what I'm taking from all of this is like, other than the new information that Cash just put me up on, it's been the same story over and over and over again. We get talked to about our history, especially people my age, because I'm 29, right? So I got niggas I got cats that's in their 40s or whatever who love to bring up the history and what the white man did to us. Now, y'all just say here named a bunch of dope ass shit black people been doing throughout history. Now, my thing is this. They've already paved the way for us to be where we at today. The shit that they went through, we try to claim that we went through that. That's the issue that I'll be taking with black folks. It's like, y'all make it sound bad to be black. Y'all make it sound y'all make it sound bad to be a black woman, to be a black man. You can't do shit. The white man this, the white man that. I'm like, dude, if you can sit there and name all of these dope ass brothers and sisters, what does that tell you about our real history? Because Sunny took the words right out of my mouth, but she said it in a more a different way. I was going to be more uplifting about it, but so my thing is, it's like, look at all the dope shit we did. I'm like, bro, why we can't take that same mindset and apply ourselves? Because when you got brothers who still living today and lived through the Jim Crow era, right? They lived through segregation. They lived through, the civil rights movement. And they tell you how they were able to live through that Not blame the white man. When I'm talking when they was literally getting snatched out of restaurants just for sitting there. If they can live through that and make something out of themselves, like even post-slavery, when they created the first black banks, you know?
Facts, man.
We don't come from this mind. We don't come from these people of this fucking victimhood. When they was really victims, they was really living through that. So my thing is like, look, bro, stop putting us down all the time talking about what the white man ain't doing for us. The reason why people like Leland, used to see my post or whatever, because I used to say things intentionally to trigger you to get your attention. Because if I'm talking about all this uplifting black people, ain't nobody gonna say shit. Nobody's gonna say shit. No, nobody's gonna say a damn thing about it. Okay, when Tupac came out with Keep Your Head Up, right? He was big, but he wasn't nearly as big as Hit 'Em Up Tupac when he was aggressive. Right. Fuck these niggas, West Side. Like, so my thing is like, when we talk positive about each other, for some odd reason, we don't attract to that. So I have to say certain things, and people like Cash, Sonny, we gotta say things to trigger y'all to get y'all motherfuckers' attention. You know, excuse my profanity. I get passionate about this type of shit.
It's facts though. It's facts.
So I look at it like I'm a high school dropout, right? Right. My mom thought I was gonna have kids by the time she thought I was gonna be the first one of her kids out of 8 to have kids because I was promiscuous at 14. Wrong. My brother was the first one that had kids at 18. Right? I'm a high school dropout. I'm supposed to be every statistic in the world. I had children out of wedlock. I hold myself accountable to the actions and the decisions that I made. Period. So when I talk about incarceration and the reason why these people are incarcerated, the reason why you have this the high teen pregnancy rates and children out of wedlock. The reason why I talk about that is because I lived through that. I am a victim of that. Okay, but I'm not about to carry that mentality to the next generation. I have a bunch of young people following me on Instagram and YouTube. I got like 81,000 subscribers and 16,000 followers on Instagram. Majority of them are teenagers, and I tell them all I don't talk to them about how you came from slavery and bondage and the white man did this and you got a target on your back simply because you are black. I don't talk to them about that. I say you can do what the fuck you want to do. It don't matter what anybody say. And even if I would be the slave to get their damn legs chopped off because I'd be rebellious as fuck. You gonna tell me to do shit. You tell me to do a motherfucking thing. You got me. I would rather die. And I'm serious about that to this day. I would rather die. I would rather die before I be anybody's slave. Period. I don't fear death. Okay. And so the thing about so when I talk to brothers like Leland and things, I'm like, look, it's not about Trump. It's not about Biden. It's not about politics. It's not about any of that shit. It's about us seeing the good that we had, seeing the good things that we had accomplished, the obstacles we had to overcome. That shit made us strong. We have this as black people. We naturally got this aggressive nature. Mainly towards each other, but we naturally got this aggressive nature. That's the reason why I'm talking like I'm talking. That's the reason why Cash, and that's why we talk about. That's why we carry. We have a certain energy about us. Maybe it's the African roots. I don't know. Okay, you know. So it's never been.
I believe though. I refer to that as flavor. By the way.
Okay. But I never once said that politics or something within the government is the reason why we're in the state that we're in. We're in the state that we're in currently. If there's anything wrong with us, which is a lot, it's simply because of us and the decision that I make. You could bring up I'm sorry for the cursing, but you could bring up the war on drugs. You could bring up the civil rights movement. You could bring up the damn welfare state. All of those things have been detrimental to us because we fell for the hokey doke. Okay, period. So if I put something in front of you, it's not my fault that you ate it. I don't give them heart. It's you the one who ate it. I can put it in front of you. You know it's bad for you, but you did it anyway. So at that point, we start holding each other accountable. And Cash, I don't know if you're aware of this, but I'm gonna keep shouting these brothers out every chance that I motherfucking get. It's a community organization group called New Era Detroit. Okay, they not mainstream media. They don't do the shit for the cameras. They literally go around in the hood passing out goods. And I ain't talking about them boxes that you get from the church, the old ass food. I'm talking about they go to the local grocery stores. They get big ass U-Haul trucks and they pass out food to the community, right? And everybody around it, they all black. It's black owned, ran by black people. Everybody in that a part of that organization carries straps, and every last one of them are legit. They all have their paperwork. Okay, they not on no nigga shit. They look like hood niggas. Okay, they got, we from Detroit. They got the Cartier glasses. They rep the culture to the fullest. But they got Steven Jackson backing them. They got Rasheed Wallace backing them, and a few other celebrities. These brothers been putting in work, and they don't preach victimhood. They preach self-accountability. They hold the poisoners accountable, the rapists, the murder. You know the shit that goes on in the black community. Y'all know about them. They hold motherfuckers accountable, and that's the reason why I rock with them, and I don't fuck with the Black Lives Matter or anybody else because they just doing it for personal gain. That's what liberals do. The New Era Detroit is not a political movement whatsoever. They are for the people. If you live within these communities, then damn it, we showing you that you got love here. Period.
All day long. Bro, you dope. Hey, I want you to, if you could, put me in contact with them, man. I want to bring them on and shout them out on my show.
I definitely will. The leader, the owner and the leader of the group of the organization, his name is Zeke. He all over the place, man.
Bet.
And they don't just do it in Detroit. It's global. They got support in Nigeria. They got support throughout the entire nation, bro. If anything, they need to be on mainstream media, but the media ain't gonna do that because they're not preaching victimhood. They're not giving the white liberals what they want to hear. That's all it is.
No.
Leland,
what you think about all that, man? Talk to us.
Yeah, it's just so much to just like digest and because I look at it from a mixed point of view, right? So some stuff I might really like see Anthony's side, I might see y'all's side. It's odd being mixed, right? So this is how I see it. Our history in this country is a violent, bad history, right? I believe it is important to be taught because if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. Again. You gotta learn. And everything y'all talking about is like, okay, that generation of people had to go through it. Every generation got their downfall for something. But I just want to say one thing. It's rich white folks, it's rich black folks. It's poor black folks, it's poor white folks, rich Latinos, poor Latinos. I think this whole like racism is really the monster with a mask on and you pull it off like a Scooby-Doo episode and it's really classism. And classism and education goes hand in hand. Rich people don't want lower class people to get educated so they can know what's happening because that puts them at a disadvantage. So education is the most important thing. When I hear you talk about this, the victim mindset, the victim this, there was a generation of black people who was victimized. All right, period. There was a generation of black people who was victimized, and there was other generations of black people victimized, and more generations of black people victimized. So the whole victim mentality is not a choice. It's passed on from our aunties, our grandmas, our cousins, because that's what they went through, or they grandma went through, or they mama went through. So it is generations of black people victimized, and we can't forget that. And we do have to keep our eyes sharp in this landscape that we're in. And to bring politics in here, I can't support the Republican Party at all, just because too many of them support people who did harm to my culture, and they did harm to my people.
How you like? Hold on. Just
wait. Let him finish, Soonie, because I'm gonna touch on that.
Let me finish, please. And I feel like this virus that we have, with this kind of racism, jumps from party to party to party like a cancer. And then right now, that cancer sits with the Republican Party, and it was in the Democrat Party in the 1960s during the LBJ. The Southern Democrats started the KKK at the time, back in the day. Southern Democrats were very racist. But after LBJ and MLK came together, after Kennedy was shot, LBJ, who was a Southern Democrat, said he wanted to get civil rights passed, had to take the Voters' Right Act. He won the presidency, put the Voters' Right Act back in it. And because of that, a lot of Democrat Republicans turned to, a lot of Democrat Southerners became Republican. That was the last time this virus switched hands. And that's just my opinion. But do your research, do your history.
That was 50 years ago.
Yeah.
You said Republican. You're referring to Republicans now. What does that have to do with 50 years ago?
I said the last time I said that this virus of racism, this virus of systemic.
So you're referring to this virus that insinuates current day. What does that have to do?
That virus sits in the Republican Party. That's where it switched hands.
That's not true. That's a bit that I've just proved on my show.
No.
But go ahead.
Do your research. I want to say do your research, but after LBJ won that election, after Kennedy passed away, Southern Democrats switched.
No, they didn't.
They're
No,
not.
they did not.
Okay.
There was never a
No,
switch.
that's a
There was
lie.
never
Never,
look,
ever.
my brother,
Look
let
at
me tell
the
you something.
voting. Look at the voting record.
Never,
after
ever.
You talking about the Great
You talking
Society?
about the
Let's talk
Southern
about.
strategy. The Southern strategy, bro. That's BS.
Okay.
We've already debunked that.
Hold on,
You know
Russo.
what
Wait,
is
I
time
just,
check. Go
this is
ahead,
my first
Russo.
time hearing anything. So can you explain it to me? I ain't listened to other episodes. Can you
Really
explain
quick
it to me?
before Cash goes, here's who was racist between the 1960s that you're talking about and the 1990s. Politicians, all of them. Like this, it was not. It didn't. There was. You were either a racist politician or you weren't. There was Democrats. There was Republicans. It did not matter. The shift that you're talking about did not matter. So it doesn't fall on the Republicans. And whether even if it did, it's got nothing to do.
There is no shift.
It's got nothing to do with today. And the last thing before it goes back to Cash, what you said earlier was a perfect example of what our society needs if we were a utopia. You said there's so much information. You've got the internet, this powerful tool. Problem is the attention span of the modern day youth, black, white, Hispanic, it doesn't matter, is 12 seconds. So what are they going to watch? They're not going to be watching. They're not going to be going and trying to Google research. They're going to watch news, which the news will only show the violence in the black community. It'll only show the violence on the black community. It'll only show one way. So there is a programming that is continued from all of the bad. See, they take the bad history and they find a way to plant it on today's heads that it's just as bad as it was in the 1960s. And flat out, factually, it's not. So then that continued mindset continues over and over. So you're forced into this victim mentality. And then the only thing that they can research, which again, Google is great, information is great. But as we talk about, it's his story. And there's a lot of different versions of it. And right now, the versions that most people are being taught is somewhere ish. It's a news ish. It's information ish. Think about 100 years from now, the way that they're going to be tracing the history of 2020, there is literally two completely different schools of thought. So what are they going to learn 100 years from now about what happened in 2020? Or is it going to be Donald Trump killed 300,000 Americans? Is it going to be that the whole world had a pandemic? Is it going to be that only the United States had a pandemic? We don't know, because if they're using the materials at hand, if they're using CNN, MSNBC, mainstream news, there is one very set history. And if they only use Newsmax and Fox, there is one completely opposite. There is no real news, so there is no real information. The only information is what we see in facts, which is black on black crime is a huge issue. Police killings are not a huge issue. And fact is, the world has changed. We are not a racist country anymore. There is racism, but we are not a racist country. And they will continue to believe this if the Democrats, which you believe are the ones that are helping go against racism, if people continue to believe the Democrats prey on victim mentality. Their whole platform preys on victim mentality. I am complete.
We defy the entire.
I like that boy,
narrative.
Anthony. I like that man, Anthony.
That was nonsense. That was nonsense in a bottle, and you know it. Listen,
Wow.
listen, real quick.
Go
Real
ahead,
quick.
Cash.
Real quick.
Before you
Republic-
go forward, we have to ask one question.
Okay.
Okay, because you said it's
Ooh,
nonsense.
Anthony, I got one locked and loaded, baby.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. You have the question?
Do you know about the New Deal?
The New Deal with FDR?
Yes.
Yeah, I've done some.
How did it affect Black folks? Tell me.
I don't. My brother is a really big FDR guy, and he was comparing them to like something else. And I asked him, well, why didn't FDR like free black people, like give voter rights to black people?
Mm-hmm. Just stick to the New Deal.
FDR,
New Deal.
I feel like FDR was a very progressive racist. He was a progressive president, but he also was still racist.
The New Deal rendered
Put me on game.
I'm gonna drop some Black history, some true Black history facts for you.
Okay.
The New Deal rendered over 500,000 Blacks unemployed. Okay.
500?
500,000. This is history. It's written. They could not get jobs, number one, because the New Deal had extra stuff in it. You know how they like to push policies now and they put extra stuff in it?
The shit that they didn't read, the underneath shit.
You couldn't work if you didn't have the skill set. We all know Black people didn't go to school. So guess what? You don't work. And if you do work, you're working for minimum wage, which you can't take care of your family on that. So what do you have to depend on? Tell me.
I mean,
what did they replace with that? They took our jobs and put what in there?
Welfare.
FDR was 1930, like 1940.
Doesn't matter. I'm breaking Black history down for you because you want to talk about the ramifications of slavery and racism.
Right.
We're going to talk about the ramifications
Go for it.
of policy because we have racist policy.
Can we let Leland really before he forgets what about my stuff was not?
Go ahead, real quick. Discussion.
Listen, real quick. With Republicans, how I look at them, they're really good with money, horrible with social issues. Just like completely horrible with social issues.
Why?
Slaves.
You have to follow
if you Google right now the states that have the lowest education numbers in the country, they're all Republican states. They don't want their people to kind of learn. They're really bad at it. I live in Georgia, by the way. Okay.
No, you're correct.
Oh yeah,
white and black.
Georgia, baby. You're welcome. Blue Georgia. Anyway,
You mean a couple counties?
I'm in Fulton County right now. Bankhead, what up, though?
It's amazing how you just spilled all that history earlier, but now you're saying you're welcomed in Georgia. But the racist Southside Democrats, okay, okay, but you love history.
Wait, hold on, let him just start out.
Let me finish my thought.
Yeah, so I can run it. So I can run it up. Go ahead.
It's a lot that Tony said right there, and I kind of forgot it because now I'm trying to recall my FDR information. But I feel like right now the way politics are set up, you have a lot of these like fake Facebook groups, like Blacks for Trump, and it's like some white guy running it, and he got like a picture of Cash in the front with his hoodie on, and they just doing post, but it's not like this is how they trying to get their Black people in. And I do think a lot of Black people are looking at the Republican Party for the first time and doing their research and getting duped by the Republican Party. Me personally.
Why though?
I ain't hear not one fucking fact.
Well, there's not a single fact in what you say. You're literally going, they're getting duped.
This is all liberal. Now you're liberal.
The Republicans are all talker. You have not said a single reason to back up any of your opinions. So until
not one.
do that, my comments are not nonsense.
I'm gonna tell you right now, in the poor community, and like any poor community you have, white poor community, Black poor community, Latino poor community, you're gonna have worse education. You're going to have higher crime rates. You're going to have higher unplanned pregnancies, and all of those things, right?
Okay. Why?
Oh shit! I told you I smoked too much weed. No, but real quick, but in all of those things, right? The Republican Party is not geared to helping poor communities. They're making it harder.
Why?
For poor communities.
Why? And
I
why
don't know.
is
You tell me. You're Republican.
But
I'm not Republican.
Giving your opinion. You're giving a speaking point based on what you've seen on TV and what Democrats say. Like the Republicans don't care about the poor. So
you're not giving the reason.
This is supposed to be a statement about racism. You're saying that in Republican-run communities that white and Black people and Hispanics that are poor are all treated the same. So that's a socioeconomic issue. That's not a racist issue. So explain to me again your point.
Like I said before, racism is really just the monster. But underneath that monster is classism, right? So what are the Republicans doing to help the poor communities in their states?
Wait, time out. Instead of that,
that is the way that we get people to all be on the same level, and that's
we gotta let Cash talk.
Leland, real quick, brother. Let me ask you something. What are the Democrats doing?
Look in New York. Look in New York and how they help their the poor. Yeah,
I gotta mute myself. I got them.
Look at New York. Look at New York and how they help some of their lower class citizens and how they got the breakfasts for these kids to make sure they do it. Republican communities, and listen, it's like the poorest red rural areas who support Republican candidates, and their hospitals are closing. Doing nothing for these people.
Can I tell you something? Can I hit you with a little fact real quick, my brother?
Nothing.
Democrat-ran cities have the highest crime rate, the highest incarcerations, the highest homeless,
because of that,
the highest joblessness. Democrat-ran cities, bro. Democrat-ran cities.
You know why?
Because if you're comparing a city that's 6.3 million people to
the state,
Democrat-ran state,
4,000
people. There's no way those numbers are going to fucking correlate.
Okay,
And
we're
if you
here.
have poor areas in a city, you're going to have higher crime.
Okay.
Just to run it back a little bit, because
in
you're
a-
such a huge fan. Wait, just to run it back a little bit, because you're quoting LBJ.
I haven't quoted him yet.
Well, whatever. You're a
FDR.
fan of his. You're a fan. No, LBJ.
Yeah, I'm
This
a fan
is
of
new where
LBJ.
you said racism switched, where it went from Democrats being Republican or Republican being Democrat, whatever the fuck it was you said, the myth.
Right.
This is the same man that said, I'm gonna have these niggers voting Democrat for the next 200 years.
Yeah.
And you're okay with that?
No, look, I'm a fan of LBJ was a most likely a racist piece of shit, right? Well, a racist piece of white guy, like a white guy from the 60s. But I respect the fact that he stayed true to his word by giving JFK what he was looking for with the Civil Rights Act.
Oh my Lord Jesus,
Bro, he
my
took
brother.
that on to
Wait a
fool
minute.
black
Wait a
folks for
minute.
their vote.
Wait a minute. Time out.
Come on, dog.
Time out. Because bro, you had my respect in the beginning of this, man, but you're losing me right now.
I
Okay.
mean, look, everyone can have their opinion about LBJ.
I love you.
The fact is, black people cannot vote before him. Black people cannot vote before LBJ and MLK got together to get the Voters Act right passed. And the fact is, we've only been able to vote in this country for 50 years.
So why would he want him to vote?
Because it was the right thing to do. It was the right thing to do. He lost.
Bro.
He lost. Southern Democrats fled.
You
the
said that he
party.
helped. You said that he helped, right?
He helped what?
That he helped black people with the right to vote and all this shit. And that the Republican Party became the racist party and the Democrats became the saviors of blacks, right?
Look at the voting numbers after LBJ's victory. You see a huge switch. Huge. And it's been
what were black people voting?
Pardon me?
What were black people voting at that time? When they started voting, what party were they voting for?
When they first got the right to vote,
Yeah.
they voted Democrat. Because
No, they did
damn
not.
lie. We started the
That's a
Republican
lie,
Party,
bro.
brother.
Come on now.
no, I said when we could vote.
When we could vote.
Yeah.
We were Republicans.
No, I mean,
Yes, we were. The
When
first
you-
seven
you-
senators. Hold on.
Look, educate me. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
You are. I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, put me on game.
The first 7 senators that were elected right after slavery was abolished were black, and they ran Republican. We are conservative people.
That's why
We
Lyndon B.
are.
Johnson made the statement, I'm going to have these niggers voting Democrat for the next 200 years. It was a
Hey, real
plan.
quick.
That's why they gave
What do
us
you think-
welfare, to cripple us, to take the black man
Question.
out of the home. That's
It's a
why they
new deal.
introduced drugs and shit into our communities, to mass incarcerate us and keep the woman dependent upon the government. They replaced the father with government.
He gave us voting rights to give us welfare.
Brother, I'm talking about the after effects of all of it, like you were just talking about. The after effects.
He didn't
The
get
after effects was a consistent crippling agent of black people.
And now look at where we at. And so you prefer that he never gave us voter rights?
It really doesn't matter that he did,
How
I have
about
one question.
because
One
we've
quick
been
question.
voting for our own destruction.
Go ahead, D'Antonio.
I got just a quick question. Leland, what do you think it means to be conservative?
all right? So I actually have a lot of good conservative friends. My boss is conservative, my manager's conservative. I really do feel like voting is a culture, and depending on where you are born, kind of lends to where you kind of start your political journey. Some people change, some people don't. But I do feel like conservatives, they do feel very passionately about the Second Amendment, very passionately about little government, small government, not having government tell them what to do, which I think is a part of white supremacy, because the government told them to stop having slaves. They never stopped liking that sense. I do think with conservatives, I do respect their economic approach, but they're horrible on social issues.
Why? You have not once said why they're horrible on social issues. You've said
they're against abortion. They're against having access.
Oh Lord God.
They're against having access. I can't say abortion. I'm sorry.
Not that. They're against that. The way that you're talking about social issues. Look, keep going. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Well, okay, they make it harder for women to have choice. Look in Alabama, where it's like one Planned Parenthood, like every.
I'll give you that's valid.
300 miles.
If that is your issue, that is the first fact that actually aligns with the quote unquote.
Hey, 1 second, Rusi. Before I know you about to try to red pill him, can I ask you a question about the Planned, because you just mentioned Planned Parenthood, like it's a bad thing that they don't got them. Do you know who created Planned Parenthood?
I have some general information about the start of Planned Parenthood, but please enlighten me. Please enlighten me.
Her name was Margaret Sanger. Do you know what she created Planned Parenthood for?
No.
The depopulation of the black race.
Oh yeah, that's fucked up. So that doesn't mean today, now that we know that information, that doesn't still mean today, if we get out our victim mentality for a second, that it can't still be used for great things to help young women who are too afraid to talk to their parents, young women who are too afraid to talk to their friends about things, a safe place to go to learn about sexual education.
No, it's professional. I feel you, right? But the thing is that I think that if a father would be in his daughter's life, that little girl wouldn't be 14 years old out here fucking everybody, getting pregnant, and too scared to tell her parents that she out here being a hoe, and go and terminate her baby without her parents knowing about it, because Planned Parenthood says if you're 15 years old and you come in there, that they won't tell your parents. They'll just give you the abortion.
I would rather have that than her go to her knucklehead friends and they get a fucking coat hanger and do something too dangerous.
Ain't nobody doing that. Come on, bro.
That's what you lead to, though. That's what you lead to. When you have people who are
honestly, I don't feel like I went through an abortion. All right. I'm just gonna be transparent here.
Mm-hmm.
I went through an abortion, not because I wanted to, but because of what my mother deemed birth control. I was 17. I was with my husband that I'm with now. Of course, we weren't ready for a kid, but for that to be my only option to fix what she felt was a mistake. I don't believe any life created is a mistake. It's a life at conception, or you would not have to abort it. There is no joy in that.
No.
It is nothing to be celebrated. And the fact that it's in every single Black community, in the inner city, because they are destroying our population, number one, it's a life. And genocide. It's gone.
It's a fucking genocide. If you look how many Black babies were killed since the creation of Planned Parenthood. It is a fucking Black genocide, bro.
It's not a liberating experience. Like every woman
needs a form of birth control. It's not even used for what you're talking about. For a woman that can't go or that can't have the get a coat hanger because she's scared to talk to her parents. We're talking about grown ass women that just wanted to have a night at the club and they got pregnant, so they don't want to tell their boyfriend that they're pregnant by the nigga that they slept with at the club, so they go and get an abortion, and you got to pay for it.
Oh, he took it there.
We can't assume that that's everyone's and that's the majority.
Bro, we know the culture. We are from the culture. We know what it is.
Okay, but we're talking about our culture. But it's Latino young girls who go up there. It's white young girls.
No. That's that. We stay focused. Stay focused on Black culture. That's that white people do it mentality. Stay focused here.
Let's talk about culture. Sonny, I'm sorry that you had to go through that. I know people who know women who had abortions. It's not an easy decision, and it sucks. Like I've been in that car ride with friends after that, and it's life changing. You get PTSD from it, You do. So the thing is, like, that's nothing to be taken lightly, and it's a lot of women out there who thought about their decisions and thought about it clearly, and I'm going to trust that they know what's best for them. And if they want to have that done, if they want to have that procedure, they need to have access, no matter if you're Alabama, where Christian culture rules.
Well, if they want it, you should pay for it yourself, and I should not be responsible for
We're not against people getting abortions. We're against us having to pay for it.
But honestly, population, like if the population control stays there, that is a benefit to us because now we don't have more people and somebody else could do stuff. I know that sounds horrible, but even in like COVID times, people who are investing into like medical supplies, they know the depopulation of things like this is actually good for the economy. It sucks to say.
You now finally officially sound like a Democrat.
Yeah.
You are that was the most Democrat comment that none of them want to say is that you believe in depopulation. And here's the issue.
I don't believe in depopulation, but
That's
I can
what you just made it.
No.
You just said it.
I didn't say
You
I
said
believe
it's gonna
in
sound
depopulation.
bad, but
Yeah, you did. But
That's
here's
not
the deal.
me saying
I
that's
agree
not
with
true.
Leland. I
That's
agree
true.
with some of your points on abortion because I'm as a man, I don't believe that I have I that's my own opinion on it. But when
It's
we're
a life,
talking about
it's
the
yours.
victim mentality, you said abortion being about victim mentality, like and saying that it was affecting black people more. True. However, you also have to be pragmatic. And if you be pragmatic, you'll realize that all these abortion centers are set up in predominantly African-American neighborhoods still to this day. So it's not like this is a previous thing. It's kind of like it's the same way as you look at the crime bill. You look at the crime bill from Joey Basements and how that plays into today. Look, I'm actually a Republican that's a believer in systemic racism, but I do believe that we've found our way to get out of it. There is systemic racism issues that are from all politicians across the board. And if you look at it, the education system's been screwed. They've been pulling black men out of their homes. They've been putting crack in the 80s. There's so many things that have led to a bad spot. But we're not in a bad spot anymore. And if the way that it's presented is that we are in a worse spot and things are still affecting the world of abortion, literally in a direct manner today because of where the clinics are. So again, that depopulation and Leland, I know the way that you're thinking about it in terms of, well, if there's less black people, then maybe we'll have more of an opportunity, which I can see that there's a thought process behind that.
Less people in general.
But they're all in black communities.
Yeah, but they're all in black communities. Do you know how many babies were aborted?
Why haven't the Republican administration of today did anything to help black small businesses with proper people?
That's a lie because Trump did it. We're not even going to go there. Trump did it. Female black business owners are doing the damn thing. They will tell you themselves.
With no support.
All right, that's under Trump.
No support from this administration. No support from this Senate.
Wow.
Nothing to help these people in the time of need. Just leaving it to the states. Every state.
That is insane.
Oh, wait a minute.
How much money?
Relief during this pandemic is what you're talking about, right?
Pardon
They
me?
got it.
You're talking about relief during this pandemic?
Yeah.
Oh, so why haven't they gotten the relief?
I don't know. Ask Mitch McConnell.
No, I asked Nancy Pelosi.
Nancy Pelosi. Chuck
She blocked
Schumer.
it, bro.
Why
You
did
realize your boy Bernie Sanders? Bernie Sanders
called them into make a deal and have
Bernie Sanders, but he did actually, and then it was actually shut down by Pelosi. The Trump actually had unconstitutional. Trump had a $300 a week stimulus that was trying to bridge the gap, and they did away with it because Pelosi said no. By the way, in the first bill, the one that we had to wait on, the one we had to wait on, there was actually random things that Pelosi force-fed in there about funding museums. It's completely pointless. And on the second one, the same thing happened. They had an issue over like $500 billion. There was all add-ons that Pelosi would not deal on. It actually was $400 billion. And you know what's fucked up is your boy Bernie Sanders actually blamed it on Pelosi. And if Bernie Sanders is going to blame it on a Democrat, you know that it was her fault.
Thank you.
Red pilled.
But real quick, why didn't Trump ever bring in?
He did. They said no.
He denied it.
When?
He literally he actually forced them to not even go on break, but it's still the Speaker of the House's decision whether or not they deal. You don't understand, unfortunately, how the government works, which is how most Democrats have a discussion.
Okay, well, I have one question for you.
Yeah.
The first HEROES Act. Did you read it? Did you read what was in the act?
I did not read what was in the act.
Okay, I'm going to tell you because I'm a nerd and I read stuff like this.
Please.
They gave 80% of the money to hospitals. The leftover money went to small businesses with stipulations and restrictions attached to it. So even if those small business owners wanted it, if you ain't got the credit for it, if you ain't got this for it, you're fucked, to put it lightly. All that money went to hospitals for them to make bank, and that's exactly what they did.
Mm-hmm.
I read it. There was no help for small business owners. There was no help.
That's fucked
I'm
up.
being real.
Hey,
It's
my
like,
man,
That's fucked up. That's fucked up. Like,
and it came from Nancy Pelosi.
nah, but the thing is, the only way it can get passed, nigga, the only way it can get
You
passed.
see, there's excuses after this. Well, this got
It's
passed,
not.
but Republicans said yes, so they were a part of it too. Come on, bro.
But in my opinion, the Republican administration haven't done jack shit in these past.
Oh my God, come on.
years.
I just hate you. That's hate, man.
Man, you're wrong. I want to ask you one thing, bro. I want to ask you something. Do you feel that Trump, we'll just use Trump, do you feel that Trump has done anything at all to help black people since he's been in office?
I really do like the bill that he passed for the historical black colleges and universities, but I do know that I believe that was a bipartisan bill that was drafted up. He just put his name on it.
That's not true.
I do like what was the thing he did? I like that he didn't let black people live in his apartments in the 70s and got sued and proved that he
Let me take that.
Bro,
Let me take. Do you want that or do you want me?
I just really want. You can piggyback on it if you want, but I got to put this out there. That's a racist statement that you just made, bro.
How?
Because you're under the assumption. No, you're under the assumption that because he did not want to give his buildings over to welfare to let Section 8 people live in his buildings, that it must have been racist because only black people are on welfare.
Oh, you don't have the story there, bud.
Hey, let me ask you this question.
I'll give you that.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me really quick. So in the 70s and in the 80s, it was just as civil rights were progressing and as lawyers were seeing an opportunity to have lawsuits in the 80s. If you were and it wasn't the 70s, it was the 80s. If you owned real estate of any large kind at the time, it was like ambulance chasers were today. If you had black people in your building and a black person felt mistreated, no matter if they were poor, not paying their rent or whatever, it was a lawsuit. There was lawsuit after lawsuit. And it wasn't to Donald Trump. It was to every major real estate owner. And the other thing is, did Trump potentially have racist people that managed some of his buildings? Remember,
probably.
He wasn't the fucking landlord. He wasn't like, sorry, you're not allowed in here, DeAndre. He literally owned hundreds of buildings, or hundreds of apartments. And here's the deal. Every single one of the real estate owners in the 1980s had lawsuits against them that you had to settle out of court because there was no way to win. There was never anything major where it was like Donald Trump specifically did not allow black people in his buildings, except for a little bit with Trump, with Cash said in terms of there not being certain things he wanted to have to give away to welfare. But in terms of the direct things that you're talking about, Leland, which is a favorite fucking Democrat speaking point, is that he did not ever directly impact and negatively affect black renters in his buildings in the 1980s. Every real estate developer and magnate had to deal with the same shit that he dealt with, and they're not running for president. So there isn't a reason for Democrats to bring up something that's 40 years old that had nothing to do with him.
So speaking of victim mentality, Trump, real quick, you guys are talking half the story. They had someone go undercover and pretend to be a girl.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God. Stop fucking lying.
Cut it, man.
Stop that, bro. Why are you doing that?
If you guys don't want to hear the truth, then
No.
Talk about victim mentality. Talk about Trump.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Victim mentality. Let's talk about Trump and how everything is somebody.
Score is 200-0 right now. So please get one on the board. So tell me how Trump has, and we have a victim mentality.
Are you serious? The guy who blames everybody and everything for all of his problems?
Okay.
Give me an example.
Go ahead. Give one example, and then we got to do something.
Oh boy,
we love you, by the way.
Trump blaming somebody else for his problems.
He blamed China. Where the virus came from. Cool, that's correct.
I got one for that China thing. If my neighbor's house catch on fire and it jumps over here, I'm not going to stay in my bed and say, Fuck that. That's Craig's fire. Let him deal with it. Get my family out.
No, but I'm going to make sure. No, that's Leland. That's perfect because Craig's insurance is going to pay for that fire.
Exactly.
Craig's insurance. You literally.
Exactly. Thank you, Leland.
But while it's burning, I'm not going to fucking sit there with my thumb on my ass. I'm going to do something. Trump.
Oh,
yeah,
you think
you're going to create Operation Warp Speed and get the fuck out of your house now, Leland.
No,
me one victim mentality.
Speeds. He can't fucking come out and talk like a fucking.
Finish your statement, Leland. I don't know how stoned you are, but give me one victim mentality from Donald Trump.
He just blamed Governor Kemp for not fighting hard enough to break the law and give Georgia back to him. He just blamed him. He blamed Rosie O'Donnell for something one time, I believe.
Rosie O'Donnell's an asshat, but go ahead.
No, I mean, you guys do watch his speeches, right? He do mostly.
We watched the whole speech. We didn't watch the CNN spin.
No, unfortunately, I watched a lot of his speeches when he was doing his Trump.
Then tell me what he's doing that's victim mentality.
If you watch them all, how come you can't come up with something?
Bro, he blamed China for coronavirus.
It's their
fault. They openly said that when Biden takes office, we want him to hold us accountable. For the virus.
Why didn't he send teams over there? Why didn't he send anyone over there to
investigate? Travel. You guys
travel. And then they called him a xenophobe and a racist.
I've never seen someone wipe another grown man's ass the way Trumpers did.
Bro. Listen, we're gonna do a part.
Here we go with there's your liberal showing. Here come the insults.
We're gonna do a part two.
I have a liberal. Leland, you literally haven't provided a single fact the whole show. Do you actually understand that?
Well, in your
because you can't get your own bullshit, brother.
Facts is opinion with certain people. I'm telling you guys.
No, there's a fact.
I'm going to give you a fact. Okay, we're going to close out, and I'm going to leave you with a fact, and I'm going to bring a piece of history back to you. This man is my mentor. I love the hell out of this dude. I've read his books. I think he's amazing. I'm going to play this video. This is a warning from 1964.
In Washington, D.C., in the House of Representatives, there are 257 who are Democrats. Only 177 are Republican. In the Senate, there are 67 Democrats. Only 33 are Republicans. The party that you backed controls 2/3 of the House of Representatives and the Senate, and still they can't keep their promise to you, because you're a chump. Anytime you throw your weight behind a political party that controls 2/3 of the government, and that party can't keep the promise that it made to you during election time, and you are dumb enough to walk around continuing to identify yourself with that party, you are not only a chump, but you're a traitor to your race.
Yeah, but
yo, Leland, I don't mean to call you out, but Malcolm X called you a Trump and a traitor to your race.
At the time, he was actually correct. That was historical fact.
Oh, it's definitely at the
time. Do you not know when he took his pilgrimage? He took a pilgrimage. He did away with all his black nationalism. Actually, he didn't. He said he was still a black nationalist, but he was willing to unite and help with other people because he took his Mecca and he realized, damn, I see all these white people and black people out here congregating. What is this?
Tell him, Sonny.
Facts. That's in his book. And he came back and spoke a different message. He warned us about the liberal. That message don't change because it's the same. It's the same party. If you look at every piece of black history, it comes at the hand of a white liberal. That it comes at the hands of a white liberal. Do your research on black history. I will tell you to look into the New Deal. And I'll let everybody give their closing remarks, but look into the New Deal and tell me what party is racist.
I just want to point out that Anthony's facial expression from the beginning of the show to now has changed drastically.
It's hard, man. Because at first when we first talked, I'm thinking like this brother's intelligent. He's gonna spit some policy, but through the whole fucking thing, like you ain't spit no policy. You ain't told me one thing that you said was bad about Trump that is a fact. You haven't given me no bad policy. You haven't even told me, except for the black colleges or historic black colleges and universities, that was good. You didn't mention that we have the lowest unemployment rating under Trump for all people. You didn't tell me that how we rekindled manufacturing in the United States, how he made us an exporter again. You didn't mention the prison reform. You didn't mention the opportunity zones. You didn't mention the platinum plan. You didn't mention any of that shit.
The platinum plan is not like a credit card with 90% interest rate, and you know it.
It's opportunities over handouts.
That was a good speaking point. Did you learn that on CNN?
We will never see that fucking plan.
You know he did.
Oh, I
said that was a good speaking point. You spit that out real good. It was like you got it from CNN.
I don't watch CNN.
You know that's 90% interest rate on that. What the fuck are you talking about? It's a platform. It's not even. It's literally. It's a plan.
It's to create business.
He's gonna give a bunch of black people money to create a business and then personally charge them back. Like what? It's literally
not to mention the people in the motherfucking Middle East. The man got people to sit down in the Middle East that nobody could do. Nobody was able to do it. No one.
Hey, can I ask one last question to Leland? Hey, why hasn't the Biden administration met with Black Lives Matter?
Oh, that's a good one.
What?
Oh,
why did Biden tell them fuck off?
Why is black? I mean, as much as I think Black Lives Matter movement is whatever, after Captain Panderpants lived the dream for the Black Lives Matter movement? Why, after 32 days of being the quote-unquote president-elect, are the Black Lives Matter turning on Biden because he's refusing to meet with them?
Look, I don't fucking know.
Oh!
We can get to the bottom of
he said.
We can get to the bottom of this.
But you know what's fucked up? That's the best thing Biden has done, is not meet with that half-terrorist organization, regardless.
My closing remark is this. Thank God Biden won, because we couldn't take the other 4 years of this fucking piece of shit, no moral having president. While his wife was pregnant. Fuck you, dude. I like this new president where we're at. I think Biden's gonna do a lot of good things. You know what? He's not.
Like he's done 47 years.
He's not. Yeah. The first 4 years Joe Biden was out of office, 300,000 American dies. So
what did he do while he was in office? What did he do while he was in office?
Keep this shit back on track.
What did he do while he was in office?
Say one thing for me.
Recovery Act. He saved the fucking motor company. He saved the fucking motor industry.
Really?
Leland,
wow.
say the word.
Really?
Didn't Obama say that was done?
Leland.
Didn't Obama say we need a magic wand to bring that back?
Hold on.
Joe did it?
Leland.
Yes, Anthony.
Hold on. Leland, say the word fact.
Facts.
You have officially said one fact during this whole show. Right there you go.
We're going to have you back.
That's a good one.
We got one question for you, Leland. Who built the cages? Who built the cages, Leland?
Is I want to be the best president. I'm in the president. No, fuck off. He's gone January 20th. I'm going to be in Washington that day and watch him fucking get sworn in. I think, listen, at the end of the day,
never going to happen, Leland. You're living a dream. You're living a dream, Leland.
We're all Americans, and thank you guys for having me on here.
We love you, brother.
A little stoned. I'm usually more on my fucking money, but I had a great time with you guys. And if you want to have me on to be that liberal asshole,
I do.
Yes.
That liberal asshole.
I do, bro.
And
Hey, just so you know, bro,
He's got to get on constant venture.
I will come back with a fucking notepad, all right? I fucking read depositions for a living. You know, we can get into the Donald Trump.
Why ain't you quoting any of it then? Hey, why you ain't quoting none of it then, G? You live for leaving. Why you ain't?
Okay, here we go. This is a quote from a Donald Trump deposition for Trump University. Oh my God, those poor people got scammed. Trump was asked, do he know all these people? And he kept saying, I don't know. And then the attorney kept asking him. The Trump looked at his lawyer and said, is this guy going to ask me all these questions? Yeah, you're in a deposition. That's what the fucking thing is. It's a bunch of questions. Anyways.
Can I ask you a question? Is Trump racist? Is Trump racist? I gotta know.
Is Trump racist? No, I think he was fathered by a racist man, and some of that just kind of carried over. I mean, Fred Trump made his millions off selling black families shitty apartments. Really,
is Trump racist though?
I think he's a product of his environment.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God, stop fucking lying.